WMBA Facebook page. Here is your host, Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the same part of the studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Well, we had a little bit of a rain delay, a Pirates rain delay, so we're starting about 15 minutes or so late here today. You guessed it. If you weren't listening to the game, you're just tuning in, the Pirates did drop another one-run game. Thank you, David Bednar, for your 40th blown save this season, Ryan.
It's getting up there. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. If this was earlier on, I'm starting to get a little irritated, but, Brian, we're heading into football season. It was another blown save by
the Pirates. Had the bases loaded twice today. The second inning, they had bases loaded with one out, and Grandel grounds into a double play. Ryan, do you know why he's on the Major League roster or any Major League roster?
Who, Grandel?
Yes.
I believe it's because he's a switch hitter. I got to be honest with you. There's not much that you could say great about Grandel. Of course, right now they do have Bart hitting DH with Andrew McCutchen being out for 10 days, and that may be the only benefit is that he is a person that could play catcher, and I think they like the fact that he is a switch hitter as well.
So he can bat under 200 from the right side of the plate as well as the left side of the plate.
That's exactly right.
He should not be on the team. Then in the top of the ninth, Connor Joe's up with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and strikes out swinging. I mean, I don't understand how Connor Joe is, 1, on the Major League team, 2, batting in the cleanup spot for the second day in a row. I said this earlier in the season, even when Connor Joe was hot, that how could he possibly be our cleanup hitter? And how can you be considered an actual Major League team if you have Connor Joe batting in your cleanup spot? He's just not a Major League player. You know, maybe like a AAA call-up when you have injuries, possibly. That's about his ceiling.
Yeah, I think this is what the Pirates are, Brian. I mean, when you're paying out what they pay out, what did we figure it out being roughly right around
$20? 3 easy payments of $20.
About $80 million a year compared to teams putting up about $200 million for payroll. This is what you're going to get. You don't see teams like the Yankees putting Connor Joe at cleanup. You don't see teams like so. I mean, it is the Pirates. It is what it is. It's going to take a long stretch to get that to change, but as of right now, that's what the Pirates are, and they have been for a very long time.
Well, the Pirates were in the hunt during the trade deadline time, and I had said whenever everybody in the sports media here in Western Pennsylvania said the Pirates did it, they went for it. They did what they had to do to be competitive for the final third of the season. I'm pretty sure, Ryan, I said they grabbed 2 guys that strike out all the time and that cost the league minimum and $3 million. Meanwhile, they dropped a pitcher that was $8 million. So they actually didn't try and just pretended and fooled everyone.
Yeah, it's the illusion. You look at every single player that got taken out of the, that got picked up at the trade deadline, guys that went to New York, like Jazz Chisholm, or guys that went to, all around the league, even Josh Bell, for that matter. These guys went on to be semi-productive or better. What we got, Brian, is Bryan De La Cruz. Finally today, or what was it, last night, he had a hit that drove in a couple runs. But the duration that he's been here, I mean, come on, compared to what these other guys were able to do in these other cities, on these other teams, it's just head and shoulders farther than what our guys that we brought in did. But don't get me wrong, this IKF, I like him. I do like him. He kind of puts me in mind of Nicky G in a way. He does. He'll get RBIs. He'll find ways to get on base. He'll find the little things to do that the Pirates generally don't do well. IKF does bring that to the table, but that's not going to be enough to save this team. Come on.
No. And upcoming tomorrow through Sunday, we have the Reds, and then after that, we have the Cubs. Typically, you'd think 7 interdivision games. These are going to be important. But all this is going to figure out is who's going to come in last, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? We're taking the bull by the horns on that one, Brian. I don't know if you've looked at the standings lately. We were about 11 and a half games out last night when I had looked. So, I mean, and depending on what else happened in the division, we could be as far out as 12 and a half games. I mean, at this point, we got, month and a half left, a little bit less than a month and a half.
Yeah, about 5 weeks or so.
I think that the Pirates are lucky that people are still talking about them at this point.
Right. I mean, the only reason I actually opened up with the show is because we did start in right after the game ended. Otherwise, I would have been leading off with the Steelers, but we will finish up probably this segment talking about the Pirates and figuring out what... Do they have any pieces set for next year, or is it still like a bunch of question marks, basically? I mean, you have Bryan Reynolds who's set. You have some of the pitching staff that's set. But a lot of these players, like, isn't it just like, do we even want them?
I don't think we have a choice. Again, it's the Pirates. It's the money that we put out. You pay for what you get for. I think we've heard that many times in life. Anytime that you get something that's cheap or broken and you always say, well, you get what you pay for, that seems to be the case with the Pirates as far as pieces being in place. We have a few. We have a few here. We have a few there. But again, I don't think anybody expects us to be the Yankees or be even the Atlanta Braves or the Dodgers. We are going to be what we're going to be. You're going to probably have
the 85 Cleveland Indians.
Or the 85 Cleveland Indians. But yeah, you're probably going to bring back your De La Cruz, who you're going to see him all season long. Maybe you'll get the production out of him that you'd hoped for. You do have Bryan Reynolds coming back. A couple of these other spots, I mean, geez, O'Neal Cruz almost turned into Pedro Alvarez. I don't know if you remember back in 2013, he forgot how to throw a ball from third base to first base. All of a sudden, O'Neal Cruz is having all kind of trouble in the field. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
He had a rough grounder hit right to him, and it hit his glove, bounced on the ground. He barely threw the guy out. But I'm like, dude, that's the easiest play. And I know it happens every once in a while, but when you're making errors, this just shines another light on it. Absolutely.
And, and it just keeps happening over and over with him. And maybe if he was on the other side of the coin, hitting for decent average.
Right.
He is whapping a ball out of the park every once in a while, but you got to get a little bit more out of a guy like him, especially if you're, that's going to be your piece. That's going to be your guy. Also, Endy Rodriguez, a lot of people were talking about him returning. I think he's going to get a little bit of playing time in the minors here as the season rounds out. So you're going to have
he's rehabbing it, and he might get some time.
Yes.
Catching in the minor. Okay.
And also, you're now dealing with something that you really don't want is a competition, because now I think Joey Bart would be a nice catcher for this team.
Joey Bart already proven he can hit better than Endy Rodriguez.
Absolutely. So that's going to be interesting next year as well, Brian, to see what happens when Endy comes back to the Pirates and how they handle that situation.
Who do you cut from the team? Like, I see Michael A. Taylor started today, Grandel started today, Triolo started today, Connor Joe started today. Right there, I'm just cutting all those guys.
Yeah, right off the top, the first couple that you named, I think that they're gone. I don't think Grandel's back, obviously, because we have an abundance of catchers. Michael A. Taylor, he they can't bring him around another season. Maybe Connor Joe, just because they do like his ability to be the utility player. But there's a handful of guys.
If he's one of the worst guys off the bench and plays once a week, I'm okay with that.
Absolutely.
But he can't be batting fourth.
Right. I agree.
Now, I don't know what Telez's contract's like, but is he coming back?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure. I believe he had something similar to a Carlos Santana contract from last season. So I think, don't quote me on this, but I think he may not be back.
Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. What about David Bednar? What happened from the last couple seasons where he was an all-star saving relief pitcher, and now he... I think he got 3 guys out in a row the other night, but that's been about the first time in about 2 months.
I think about Bednar. He doesn't have much of an arsenal. He throws a heavy fastball. He has a few things that he does that varies from it. But you know what? These are the major leagues. People sit down, they look at computer graphics, analyzation, all these things. They know who they're facing. That's why they pull these little cards out of their back pocket every 10 minutes on the field. They're very up to date on people's strengths, weaknesses. And as I said, David comes in there. He just fires a heavy fastball, and a lot of times these players they'll jump on that, Brian, and you'll notice he gives up a lot of home runs. Mm-hmm. You take that early swing on that fastball, sometimes it could go a far away.
So outside of the Milwaukee Brewers, basically our entire division stinks. The Pirates stink. The Reds stink. The Cubs stink. The Cardinals, they were supposed to really stink, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, they're in second place. They're roughly 7.5 games out in second place. So, I mean, that kind of gives you an idea.
But the Brewers just won't get away. The Phillies jumped out to a huge lead in the National League this year, but they are 73-52. The Brewers have the same record as the Phillies, 73-52, and the Dodgers are in first place in the National League with 75-52. The Padres and the Diamondbacks, they did the exact opposite of what the Pirates did after the trade deadline.
The exact opposite.
You know, we went on a 10-game losing streak. They won 8, 9, 10 out of, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So the Padres are now relevant. They're 72-55. The Diamondbacks are 71-56. And the Braves have moved to the final.
Yeah.
They were light years ahead of everybody being the I guess the play-in teams. So the Braves are now the final play-in team, and what they'll face the. Who do they face? How does it work?
Well, now that they changed a little bit, the play-in teams, in fact, do get that first round because they did add another team.
So the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Braves will face one of the 3 division winners.
It'll be 2 through 6. So 2 will face 6.
Correct.
3,
correct.
4.
So the Phillies have gone from owning the National League to possibly having to play a play-in series versus maybe the Braves, maybe the Diamondbacks, who the Diamondbacks knocked them out last season.
And one thing about, what you're seeing, this is what you want your baseball team to be doing at this point, in the season, what the San Diego Padres are able to do, and even what the Arizona Diamondbacks are able to do. You want to get hot right now. You want to go out, get your players at the trade deadline, get hot, and start getting ready for September because a lot of teams are starting to fall off in September. They gave away guys. They sold at the deadline. They have nothing to play for. It's been a long, hot summer, and a lot of these guys, I got to be honest, they're ready to wrap it up. So the teams that are on their runs, your San Diegos, your Arizonas, they're going to come into some teams that aren't going to be that tough in September, and they're going to continue to do what they do. You got to like what San Diego's doing. I think it's what you hoped that the Pirates were going to be able to do.
Well, they did the complete opposite. Here's the thing. So when Paul Skeens pitches, I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
Now, you had sent me a message that Jared Jones pitched in the minor leagues.
Last night had a great game.
Pitched 5 full innings. And how many strikeouts did he have?
10. 10 strikeouts.
Per inning. 10 strikeouts. Who batted leadoff?
I believe it was... Who was? I did send you the graphic. I'm pulling it up right now. If you do know at the top of your head, you could say because I'm still getting there.
Who batted leadoff? Cook also batted. It was like our normal team, right?
Yes.
There was like 2 guys that
look at this lineup from from your Indianapolis Indians from last night. Nicky Gonzalez.
That's who it was. Nicky Gonzalez was batting leadoff. I'm like, that's our second baseman.
Palacios, who just got sent down 2 days ago.
Yep.
York.
Who I think is one of our potential futures.
Oh, absolutely. Henry Davis.
Henry, he still plays.
He is a cleanup.
They still give him a uniform. Is he like hitting home runs and batting
he's doing well?
He's
doing well. First base was Cook. Next on the lineup was Nunez.
Yeah.
Followed by Peguero.
I mean, this is our team.
Olivares.
This team should win the AAA.
They should. Eduardo Olivares. And the 9th batter is Jack Sawinski, who not only was batting in the 9th spot in the majors for the Pirates, he is now batting in the 9th spot in Indianapolis. So that can't be good.
Sent that to me, and my dad came down. And I was talking to him, and I was telling him about it, and I was like, I'm surprised they didn't bat Jones instead of Sawinski.
Yeah, right.
What's going on there? I don't know.
He only gave up 1 hit, Jared Jones did last night. As you mentioned, 5 innings pitched, 10 Ks, 1 hit, and 1 walk. So, I think he's ready to make his way back up to the Buccos. At this point, that 10 game, I got to tell you, Brian, that 10-game losing streak was the dagger. That took the life out of this Pirate team. And
we don't even have 60 wins, and the Padres and Diamondbacks, who we were pretty much tied with, have over 70.
Yeah.
It's just, I've had about enough of it. I'm pretty sure we've talked way more than we needed to about it. Moving forward with the rest of this show, in the next 5 weeks or so, I am going to make it a point to talk very little about the Pirates unless it involves, the young pitchers.
Yeah.
Mitch Keller had a heck of a night the other night, pitched into the
gem.
9th inning.
Yeah.
And, into the 8th inning. Then, gave up the leadoff hitter, and then Aronis Chapman comes in and pitches to 2 batters, gets 3 outs. Bednar comes in, pitches to 3 batters, and gets 3 outs. So 5 batters, 6 outs. That normally doesn't happen. I really hope they bring Aronis Chapman back next year again, and I would like for him to be the closer. I don't care how old he is.
Yeah, geez. I mean, if he's still producing, he's still able to get guys out, and the guy who is the closing pitcher struggles the way that he does, I think it's crazy not to consider it.
Yeah, I mean, he's pumping it up to 103 at times, just showing you what he could still do.
Right.
Well, I am about sick and tired of talking about these Pirates. I would like to maybe talk about the Steelers when we come back.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Has your classic car or hot rod seen better days? Just call me, Dave Rodenbaugh, and my team at the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company. The full-service hot rod shop offers it all. Everything from custom fabrication and restoration to regular maintenance and collision repair. With over 40 years of experience, there isn't a job too big or too small. The Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company's enclosed trailer service ensures safe transit for your ride during any season. The Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company is located at 6th Street in Beaver Falls. Visit pahotrod.com or call 412-719-4950.
Back to school season means back to your credit union season. Before you pack the lunchbox, be sure and pack your wallet. Visit Friendly Federal Credit Union and get the cash supply you'll need so that you can buy the school supplies that they will need. This is Cindy Hiladio. Stop into the principal's office and see me to sign up for an easy-to-manage personal signature loan. They're now available from $500 to $10,000 with approved credit. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
One of the greatest honors a person can receive is to be gathered with their people at the time of their passing. Even biblical authors, when they wanted to explain what it meant to have lived a great, prosperous, and meaningful life, spoke of the individual as having lived a long time and being gathered with friends and relatives near as they closed out their twilight years. Being gathered together with loved ones is something that the J&J Spratt Funeral Home takes very seriously as well. The comfort both given and received cannot be underestimated. J&J Spratt Funeral Home also knows that the honor shown to a loved one at their time of need in this manner is still the right thing to do today. J&J Spratt Funeral Home has been gathering together with area families for 4 generations and looks forward to honoring future residents deserving of being gathered together with friends and family. Click jjsprattfh.com.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. You know, last segment, Ryan, we talked about the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
What's more depressing, to be honest, the Steelers' current offensive situation or the Pirates' offensive situation?
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? All right. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to say what's worse is the Pirates because it's established they're,
it wasn't 2 preseason games.
Right, they're almost 5 out of 6 months through the season, and it hasn't got much better. So I'm going to lean that way. That is worse.
Okay,
yes.
now I'm going to give you a to be fair back.
Yeah.
Now, the Steelers have struggled offensively the past several seasons.
Yes.
So when you see them struggle in the preseason, you just feel like it's the same old, same old. Let's just say last year they were, under Mason Rudolph all year and putting up points and scoring, and maybe had 2, games in the preseason where you didn't move the ball or score. You probably wouldn't be too worried.
Right.
But I guess the theory is with Steelers fans, because they're always the glass half full, they're never negative about anything. Whoever we get, they're the best starter, they're the best backup, they're the best this, they're the best that. Their whole theory on why the Steelers are going to do well offensively is because we did well offensively last preseason and then stunk in the regular season. So now they're hoping that the fact that we stink in the or the preseason, now we're going to be good in
They're hoping that the football gods are going to be fair and give the Steelers what they deserve, right? No, what's going to happen here, Brian? I think it's very okay. Listen. What the offense did in last year's preseason, it was head and shoulders compared to what this offense is doing now. So what I figured out was this. They went into their second offseason with Kenny Pickett as quarterback last year. They kind of had an idea, a direction of what it is they wanted to do, where they wanted to go. Now, this group of guys, they got thrown together during the offseason. They're literally playing their first and second games together, their games. So I suspected there was going to be some issues, But it goes further than your quarterbacks, Brian. It goes to your offensive line, where last year they were able to gel after a couple seasons of playing with one another. Mason Cole, he's gone. Now you have a rookie. You have a rookie. He's going to be starting at center. You have a rookie who may be starting at right guard if the tackle situations don't work out. There's so much issues on this offensive line right now. If there's any reason that we're not producing on offense, you could blame it on the receivers. You could blame it on the quarterbacks, but it all comes back to that offensive line. It is a disaster at the moment. Can they fix it? Yes. Will they? We have to wait to see.
September 8th at 1 o'clock, we play at the Hotlanta Falcons.
Yes.
They have Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a guarantee because he's been a little banged up or whatnot, but he's probably going to put up 4 touchdowns or more, plus maybe some field goals. How do we outscore them?
Oh, okay. Look at the way the last 2 seasons went. Every game was a heart attack. Every game was you ended up, you were drenched in sweat when it was over.
Unless we got blown out.
But that only happened a few times. San Francisco to start off the season was a blowout. Houston Texans was a blowout. But a couple of the other games we lost were very close games. We could have beat Cleveland. We could have won a few others. But Brian, it's going to be tough, and especially with this defense you're talking about that has to stop a guy like Cousins. We don't even know who our nickelback. We don't even know who CB3 is going to be at this point. With Cam Sutton being out to the midway point with
Beanie Bishop, it's definitely going to be Beanie Bishop.
Gets blown up in the first week of preseason. He doesn't even play in the second week of preseason. I think it's still up in the air. Yeah, you'd think Beanie, but
he's got a big game coming up at the Lions on the 24th, Saturday the 24th. We play our final preseason game. Since we've gone to the 17-game regular season, there's only 3 preseason games. I believe the NFL in the future wants to go to 18 regular season games and only 2 preseason games. But we do play the Lions, and this is a big game for people like Beanie Bishop. I would assume, I don't know, Broderick Jones. Now, how hurt is he? I saw him get blown up like he was about a 150-pound little 8th grader by a linebacker.
The guy just ran right through him.
And is it just because he's injured? Because last year he played phenomenal, especially against the run or for the run. I just don't know how much the injury is affecting him, and I don't even know if he would have been out there if Futano wasn't hurt.
I mean, right now I'm looking at a source that says he has multiple injuries that go back to his last.
That's what I would say if I played like that.
Absolutely. Multiple injuries, flipping between left tackle and right tackle.
Like I lost a leg.
Right. But again, between the injuries, between flipping him back and forth, I think another thing they got to do, with these offensive linemen, put them at their positions, let them play. whatever you think is going to happen between these two young tackles that you have, Broderick Jones and Fatanu, who of course have been out with injuries as well, throw it aside, put the guys where you want them to be and let them play. Otherwise, you know what, this is going to be a long, drawn-out process, and I would rather know if it isn't going to work sooner than later.
Here's what I don't get, and maybe it's just because of my background in sports, but for instance, when I played baseball, I was a second baseman. Okay, the shortstop was the best player on our team by far. I believe I was second, or at least arguably the second best player on the team.
Yeah, second basemen are usually pretty good.
So, the center fielder was pretty good, but, I played second base. So when the shortstop pitched, I played shortstop. When a center fielder pitched, I played center fielder.
Yeah.
When the third baseman pitched, I played third base. When the catcher pitched, I played catcher. I had no problem, and I guarantee I was just as good as the starters at all those positions, if not a tick low, especially at the shortstop position. He was really good.
Yeah.
He was really smooth. But I had no problem. What's so hard about left tackle or right tackle? What's the difference?
I mean,
I don't know. Guys rushing you from this side or that side. I don't get it. I'm not saying you would be as good as you are at one or the other, but how could you drop off that much from one to the other is my question.
Well, I don't understand how he dropped off as much as he did from season 1 to season 2.
Right, you should improve.
Right, you should see improvement there. The fact that you don't, I think, is the big concern. As much as you want to say, okay, as much as I want to say, just plug these guys in, put them in their natural positions and roll with it. You still don't know what you're going to get, Brian. So I say you got to do that. Get them healthy. Get Fatanu on the right. Get Broderick on the left. Put guys in because we don't have much time.
We don't have
much time left.
I believe they named Troy Fatanu the starting right tackle.
Okay.
I believe they named him that, but he's hurt and he's out a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Well, if he only played one preseason game, how's he going to be the starting right tackle? I believe he's not going to be the starting right tackle. They're going to start Broderick Jones at the starting right tackle position. Dan Moore Jr., the worst left tackle in the history of the Steelers' offensive line. Siamalu at left guard. James Daniel at right guard. So I think you're set at left guard, right guard.
Yeah.
James Daniel, he wears that funky helmet.
Yeah.
I like it. Hey, it's to preserve. He probably wants to pick up his grandchildren when he gets old, right?
Right.
So he's wearing that funky helmet.
Is he going to wear that when he picks up his grandchildren?
Well, I don't know. It depends. Maybe they're defensive linemen.
All right.
So Nate Herbig tears a rotator cuff.
Done for the year.
Out for the year. Is that a blessing?
I mean,
depth-wise, probably not.
Right, you need depth.
But if they were going to start him, which I think they were, now they're starting number 54, Zach Frazier from West Virginia University, which, by the way, my daughter had her first 3 classes today in college. Apparently she went to them. I don't have that 360 app where you can see where your kid is at all times, like if she's in bed when she's supposed to be in class. But I did talk to her after class, and she said she goes, it's not like high school, Dad. They give you this piece of paper. I'm like, a syllabus? And she's like, yeah. And it tells you your whole. I was like, take pictures of that, because if you lose that piece of paper, you have the pictures. Save it. She's like, I already uploaded it to her planner.
Okay,
but it's on her phone. It's not like an actual planner I would have. So anyway, Zach Frazier, which I'm making a phone call tomorrow to the West Virginia University, to the athletic department, and seeing if we can get Coach Neil Brown on the show the Wednesday before they play Pitt down at Heinz Field. So we'll see if we can get a hold of him with that. But so Zach Frazier is going to be pushed into the starting center position.
Yes. So, which I like. I like this idea. I was kind of hoping that would be the case beforehand.
Right. And Nick Herbig, I was like, all right, if Zach's not working out or somebody goes down,
then you got nasty
some
Nate.
Depth. Now, depth, we got Spencer Anderson and obviously Fatanu, which we drafted in the first round this year, and Mason McCormick, who we also drafted in the
He was a late
third round. I think we had 2 third-round picks. So we have some depth there. My problem is the quarterback situation.
Yeah. It seems.
Why can't Russell Wilson or Justin Fields move the ball against the other teams, guys that may not even make the team?
Yeah. And as just kind of going back to what we were saying, Kenny came in last year against this Buffalo team and lit them up. As a matter of fact, it was 21-0 at the half last year. 21-0 Steelers at the half over Josh Allen in the Bills, not Mitch Trubisky in the Bills.
Wait, who was the second stringer?
For Buffalo?
Yes.
Ben DiNucci.
Yeah. Yes, good
Another
old Ben
familiar
DiNucci.
face.
Now, he won the WPIL title for
Absolutely. Pine Ridge, the Rams, baby.
That's what I figured. All right, listen, we're going to talk more Steelers when we come back. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Has your classic car or hot rod seen better days? Just call me, Dave Rodenbaugh, and my team at the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company. The full-service hot rod shop offers it all. Everything from custom fabrication and restoration to regular maintenance and collision repair. With over 40 years of experience, there isn't a job too big or too small. The Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company's enclosed trailer service ensures safe transit for your ride during any season. The Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company is located at 6th Street in Beaver Falls. Visit pahotrod.com or call 412-719-4950.
Looking for a great job opportunity? McDonald's now has full-time and part-time positions available to fit your lifestyle and needs. Set up your own hours and have a lot of fun too. Whatever your situation is, McDonald's has a place for you. Apply today at mchire.com. McDonald's is here for you. I'm loving it.
Back to school season means back to your credit union season. Before you pack the lunchbox, be sure and pack your wallet. Visit Friendly Federal Credit Union and get the cash supply you'll need so that you can buy the school supplies that they will need. This is Cindy Hiladio. Stop into the principal's office and see me to sign up for an easy-to-manage personal signature loan. They're now available from $500 to $10,000 with approved credit. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
One of the greatest honors a person can receive is to be gathered with their people at the time of their passing. Even biblical authors, when they wanted to explain what it meant to have lived a great, prosperous, and meaningful life, spoke of the individual as having lived a long time and being gathered with friends and relatives near as they closed out their twilight years. Being gathered together with loved ones is something that the J&J Spratt Funeral Home takes very seriously as well. The comfort both given and received cannot be underestimated. J&J Spratt Funeral Home also knows that the honor shown to a loved one at their time of need in this manner is still the right thing to do today. J&J Spratt Funeral Home has been gathering together with area families for 4 generations and looks forward to honoring future residents deserving of being gathered together with friends and family. Click jjsprattfh.com.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Ryan, who has a better voice, me or the disclaimer lady?
Excuse me.
I know who gets my vote.
I was just going to say, I'm not even playing. I was just going to say that the disclaimer lady, I've never heard anybody refer to her as the chick. But
right?
You said the chick, right here with the voice, the disclaimer lady.
Yeah, she does a great job.
She does do a great job.
I mean, listen, listeners, disregard everything she says. No, I'm just kidding. No, but she does a great job. Her voice is excellent. She does a nice job.
Yes.
Her delivery is excellent as well.
She may be a computer. We don't know. But
is she AI?
She may be.
The chick AI. And when I say chick, I mean it lightly. I have a daughter who's the most important person in my life. So I'm not a male chauvinistic pig. I kid. It's jokes.
I keyed.
Yes. So we were talking about the offense, the Steelers' offense. What's going on with Jaylen Warren? Will he be able to play versus the Falcons? And even so, will he be able to play against the Broncos?
Well, he has that hammy. He was supposed to be out, 2 to 4 weeks, I believe it initially was.
But don't those go on for it's week 8 and he's still questionable on Sunday
that
morning?
Was an issue. Last year it was an issue. And, it seemed like every time you turned around, somebody was getting a hammy. And it wasn't rub it out and come back the next series. It was these guys were out for extended periods of time.
Now, what is it? Patterson is the backup?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if we're going to see a lot of him and see what he can do as a, as a backup. I really want to see what Najee Harris can do as the main guy. I don't want to see, Najee Harris give up a bunch of carries to a backup. But, will we see Harris at all in this preseason game, or do you want to keep him healthy, Ryan?
Yeah, I think that you're going to see Harris. You're going to see a lot of these backups playing. But do you want to take this call? We do have a call from Dawn.
Dawn, it is Sports Wednesday. It is not Politics Thursday, but we'll take a call on either one. How's it going, Dawn?
Hello?
Dawn, are you there?
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Excellent. It is Sports Wednesday, Dawn. It is not Politics Thursday, but I will take a politics call if you'd like.
Oh, my goodness. That's okay. I'll tell you what. It's kind of both. I was reading my preseason football magazine. Texas A&M just paid Jimbo Fisher $75 million to quit coaching. Why would you even want to keep your job if you can get $75 million to quit?
Listen, Frank from Beaver County Radio here. If you'd like to pay me $75 million to not show up, I will gladly send you a picture of me at home during the 5 to 7 o'clock hours every Wednesday. So $75 million, we can negotiate for even less. Dawn, I have a quick question. And this involves politics. How many people voted for Kamala Harris in the 2020 primary?
I believe it's 0.
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. I have another question for you real quick. How many people voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 primary?
I believe it's 0.
Yes. Now,
do I get $75 million?
Listen, if I get $75 million, I'm definitely going to split some of it with you, Dawn. Here's my next question: how does Guam have delegates for the Democratic primary? And why, if no United States citizen voted for Kamala Harris, why does Guam get to vote for Kamala Harris?
Are they a possession of the United States?
They are a territory, and somehow I believe they're not allowed to vote in the actual election, but they can vote in the primaries. I believe in even Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, they voted as well. They had delegates as well.
The one that got me did not. Well, it does involve America in a way. Excuse me. I think a few years ago, Greece voted 61 to 38% to exit the European Union. Now, if they vote 51 to 49 to exit the European Union, and they steal it from the people, what are we going to say? It's make that. A friend of mine used to be able to make that Homer Simpson sound. He made some kind of confused sound. I can't do it. But 61 to 38, I'm going to be honest with you. Gosh, we've meandered a long way from sports. Are the central bankers running the world? Does anyone know who's running anything anymore?
Well, as far as I know, the central bankers run all of the world except for Cuba, North Korea, and is it like Sri Lanka or something? There's like one other country that the central bankers do not control. Well, at least our central bankers. I would assume North Korea has their own central banker, but yes.
It's incredible. How about Penn State now? Is James Franklin going to lose to Ohio State for the 8th time in a row on November 2nd at home?
It's a guarantee. Listen to this. My daughter, she's going to West Virginia University, started her first day as her freshman year of classes today, and they're opening up at home versus Penn State this year. It's going to be a shellacking, though. Penn State's going to go and beat up them. Penn State's going to beat up everybody but Michigan and Ohio State, right?
That's what he's not capable of beating someone with as good or better athletes. I'll tell you what, though, when I was a little boy, we went to the Custer Battlefield, and I got a book on Crazy Horse and was fascinated. And they said when he surrendered the reservation, one of his friends shook his hand and said, "Be careful, you are going into a very dangerous place." Penn State is still walking into a very dangerous place at that field, aren't they?
They are absolutely.
I think the biggest crime here is that Penn State will not agree to play our Pitt Panthers here. They're playing West Virginia. You might as well play Pitt. I think that goes a long way for college football, especially in Western Pennsylvania. What are they so afraid of? I know that Paterno didn't want to play Pitt after so long. What's Penn State so afraid of? They don't want to maybe get upset by these Pitt Panthers?
Is it both universities or just one? Because not playing that game is like refusing to walk your daughter up the aisle when she gets married. That makes no sense at all.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys take care.
All right, Don. Thanks for the call.
Take care.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I want to see Pitt and Penn State more than anything. But Brian, I do know that we were talking Steelers. So let's jump back on track here. Out of the backfield for the Steelers.
Should Donald Trump suit up? Should he suit up as the backup running back? Like, where do we go from here? What about J.D. Vance or what's the little fella, Timmy Walls? Maybe Kamala. I mean, you never know. You never know. Listen, if you guys want to call up and talk about politics during the election year, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be a political show, but I will talk politics, especially because the election's coming up here soon. So if we want to spend a couple minutes on that, but we are going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, I guess, for the rest of the show. What do you think? Najee Harris, does he sit this preseason game to keep him healthy?
No. I mean, eventually. I think he plays very little. He plays very little. First quarter, maybe a series, maybe two series.
Maybe a check down, a couple handoffs, a sweep.
But my thing also, again, Brian, it comes back to this offensive line. Last year, we had success running the ball. You bring in Arthur Smith, who's known for running the ball. Things are supposed to be coming together, but at the end of the day, it comes down to this Achilles heel, which is the offensive line. It's not going to be the Achilles heel for long term. These are just a lot of young guys that have to get in there. They have to feel their position. They have to play with the guy next to them and really get that feel. Otherwise, we're gonna have trouble running. We're gonna have trouble passing, and people are gonna say, "Why is this team no better than Kenny Pickett's Steelers?"
All right, I have a very positive note on running the football and controlling the clock, and then I have a couple negatives. So let me start with the positive because you mentioned him during the last break. Roman Wilson.
Yes.
Played in Michigan.
Most people forgot we even have him.
They ran the ball, and somehow he produced at the wide receiver position, but he was like a Hines Ward type of guy who said, and I love this, whenever I played some tackle football and whatnot, I'd go, if I wasn't playing quarterback, which I usually played quarterback, if I went to play wide receiver, I was like, let's run the ball. I want to get up on. I just want to slam somebody and throw him on the ground and get upfield and throw the next guy on the ground as a wide receiver. I'm not going to take the big guys. Obviously, they'll just pancake me. But as far as the defensive backs, and safeties, you want to get there. And now, I like him. I hope he's back soon. He's been a little banged up. But does George Pickens want to run block? So this is where we go to the negative side of things.
Yeah, I wouldn't count
him
on
and his ego.
If he does run block, I say, hey, you walk away from it saying, hey, you know what? He did run block, but it isn't anything I would count on. I wouldn't count on George Pickens.
What about Pat Freiermuth? I don't think he's a very good run blocker either. I don't think he likes to block. He's like a very slow slot tall wide receiver to me, more so than your Darnell Washington, who's the big body and could maybe move the tackle if need be.
That's a good question. You know what? It's going to be this offensive line. It's going to be very interesting, Brian, to see how this whole thing plays out. This makes and breaks the season.
But I was extending the offensive line from the five guys to the tight end and to the wide receivers. I think Roman Wilson will love to run block. Let's say it's the fourth quarter and we got a 10-point lead. He's going to want to just run. And George Pickens is like, they've only thrown to me 3 times today. I want 7 more, pass attempts.
Absolutely. And another concern, Brian, before we do hit the break, I just want to throw this point in there as well. Let's just say that George Pickens goes out this week and blows his ACL. Let's say he gets tackled and he's done for the season. Now you have an even bigger problem. You're putting out Quez Watkins. You're putting out Van Jefferson, hopefully Roman Wilson, and a couple of these other guys. So we may have more problems than we think that we do.
We're pretty deep at several positions. I think quarterback's one. Obviously, you don't want to be going out there with Cal Allen, but if you had to get through a quarter with him and you had the lead, he might be able to get you a first down or two. I got
to be honest with you, from what I seen in the first game, I don't hate him.
Right. Running back, as long as Jalen Warren comes back, we have some depth. Wide receiver, we have tons of depth. Not very many starters, but if a Van Jefferson goes down, you do have Quez Watkins and Des Fitzpatrick and Calvin Austin, the 19th or whatever he is. So your depth there.
If you had those three guys on your semi-pro football team, you'd be really good.
Right. What was the Pittsburgh
Colts for a long time.
The Colts?
Yeah.
Did they move to Indianapolis?
They did not.
Or was that the Baltimore Colts?
No, for the longest time it was the Colts, but it just changed. I'm not real sure.
Did Mayflower come out and move them to another city? All right, listen, we're going to talk Steelers defense, which, has to be what gets them through this season. We're going to count on the offense to do a little bit, enough to maybe win some games. But let's talk defense when we come back. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Back to school season means back to your credit union season. Before you pack the lunchbox, be sure and pack your wallet. Visit Friendly Federal Credit Union and get the cash supply you'll need so that you can buy the school supplies that they will need. This is Cindy Hiladio. Stop into the principal's office and see me to sign up for an easy-to-manage personal signature loan. They're now available from $500 to $10,000 with approved credit. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
The 77th season of high school football coverage on Beaver County Radio is fast approaching. Our Friday Night Lights coverage with Robert Mangino and Mike Azadian gets underway on August 23rd with a Week 0 matchup from Mo Rubenstein Stadium in Ambridge, as the Bridgers will play host to the Western Beaver Golden Beavers. The audio and video coverage gets underway at 6:30 p.m. for pregame, and kickoff is set for just after 7. You can watch the game on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. You can listen to the games on WBVP 99.3 FM and BeaverCountyRadio.com. High school football coverage on Beaver County Radio is brought to you in part by eXp Realty, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Patriot Home Care, Keystone Wellness Program, the Fry Transportation Group Inc., Forward RX, Electric Garage Door Sales, the Beaver County YMCA, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, and Beaver County Radio.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Ryan, we've got about 15 minutes left here.
Yes.
I know we're on the rain delay because the Pirates ran into the show, but let's get into the Steelers' defensive situation. What's that defensive line looking like to you?
I got to be honest with you. I kind of get some mixed feelings on that defensive line. I like the way that Cano Benton came out last week and played. I thought he played a strong game. And I like the way that backup DeMarvin Leal also played last week. He came out and played a strong game. My concern is the the tackle that hasn't played a minute yet, who is getting up in age, who did deal with injuries last year, and in my opinion, he's not anywhere nearly as effective as he was early on in his career. I'm talking about Cam Hayward. He's a concern. I think Larry Ogunjobi in the first part of last game, he made a few mistakes, but he made up for it as the game went on.
He couldn't make 2 tackles. He missed 2 big tackles.
Those 2 first plays that you're talking about,
Right.
I know that they were both missed tackles, but as you watched, he solidified a little bit. He made tackles as the game went on, but my big problem with his defense is Cam Hayward. He sucks up way too much money. If you could get a younger guy to be more productive at that position, I think we would be great. But I think he is the Achilles heel on the defense.
Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to not pay Cameron Hayward this season. So we just have to hope that he plays at least 80% of his, old potential when he was in his prime, I guess, and hopefully stays healthy. Because last season he was crying to everybody that he, didn't pay his IRS tax. I mean, he was injured, and he came back, and nobody appreciated him coming back.
Yeah, I mean, come on, and I think he started to feel that a little bit during the offseason this year. He made a couple comments, and I think he was playing the game a little bit. He threw out there, he goes, well, you know what, if it doesn't work out here, I could always go somewhere like Cleveland. My wife is from Cleveland, and his wife comes back and says, you know what, I have no interest.
I'll pay his tolls through the turnpike up to Cleveland if he wants to go there.
I have no interest in going back to Cleveland, his wife says, and then Cam comes out after he shoots himself in the foot and says, you know what, I was just kidding, guys. I didn't really mean that.
Not to switch to the offensive side of the ball, but we're talking about Cameron Hayward. Apparently during the trade for Brandon Ayuk, his brother was off the table. They wouldn't trade him. I don't understand how that's even a possibility, because his brother is just a backup, a backup tight end, a backup fullback, and maybe a special teams guy. So I don't understand how somebody like that would be off the table. But yeah, we do have a call.
We have a call from Ralph. Our Ralph is on the line.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Excellent, excellent.
Hey, it's okay if I talk about the Steelers. The betting line is 8.5 wins. Would you think they'd go over or go under that this year? What do you guys think?
I'll let Ryan answer that first.
I got to be honest with you. Before the preseason started, I was feeling pretty optimistic, and I would have jumped on 8 wins very easily and said, yes, we got this. But after seeing the offensive line play, after seeing the regression of a few of the players on that line, Broderick Jones especially, there are some things that have me doubting now. I think it's just going to be a matter of if this team could gel and get some wins early on, because later on in the season, you have 6 division games. You have the Phillies and the Chiefs to finish out the season. So at first, I'll put it to you this way. I'm not as optimistic as I was early on.
All right. I'm going to answer that. Go ahead, Ralph.
I thought the Phillies played baseball.
My fault. I'm not that smart of a person, so if I slip out the wrong name every once in a while, I totally take credit for
that. Before we get to the other guy here, are you the guy that's on that Two Dumb Yinzers show?
Yes, that's me, yes.
I knew you from somewhere. Go ahead. What's up? Go ahead. The other guy was going to make a point.
Yes.
All right, so this is Bryan. So basically, here's my thoughts. Not only will the Steelers go under 8.5 wins, I'm going to say they're going to only win 6 games, and Ralph, they are going to lead the NFL in sacks given up.
Wow. See, a lot of people now after that, they say that, but, the thing is that I think the Steelers are a good team, so I think they're going to win 12. I think this team's a Super Bowl contender.
That's where I sat at the beginning of preseason. I said, you know what, this team could potentially win 12 football games.
All right. Anything else, Ralph? Okay.
Yeah,
do you guys like donuts?
Oh, yes.
Well,
Boston cream.
Maybe next week I'll come up and bring donuts up to you guys. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
That would be fantastic.
Okay. Hey, guys, it was great talking to you. I'm going to start listening every week.
This sounds good. Thank you so much for your call, Ralph.
All right. Thanks, Ralph.
No problem. Bye.
Bye-bye. So there you have it. I'm going to be honest with you. Early on, I was optimistic, Bryan, and unless they come around, I don't know if that's going to change for me. I don't know if it's going to be difficult for me because, again, the offensive line, which isn't helping the quarterbacks, and that also, it isn't helping your running game.
Russell Wilson and Justin Fields don't get rid of the ball. They are sacked with good offensive lines. I don't know how especially early on when we don't know who's playing what position and they haven't had that 4 or 5 game, working together as a unit versus individually. I just think it's going to be a huge issue. Russell Wilson may get hurt. Justin Fields, he fumbles the ball one time a game and throws an interception one time a game. I don't understand how anybody could think that his potential is high. How can you turn it over twice? How do you fumble once a game?
This is how I used to feel back when Cordell Stewart used to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That was the style. Remember, you couldn't get a game where he didn't throw an interception, and a lot of turnovers.
We were down late in the fourth, and he would throw one over the middle, and he'd sail it high, and we'd be picked off by one of the safeties.
But you kept him around because you said, you know what, this guy has potential. He can make plays with his legs.
He was a Pro Bowler and Special Teams Player of the Week 1 week with the Baltimore Ravens.
Nice.
All right, so moving on from the defensive line to the linebacker position. Obviously, we have T.J. Watt, Patrick Queen, Orlando Roberts, Alex Highsmith starting. Nick Herbig is a backup. Peyton Wilson, who can actually, he should have been a first-round pick. He looks like T.J. Watt to me, can play inside linebacker, flies all over the field, can make every tackle, but his injury prone, and right now he's in concussion protocol, correct?
Yes. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but he does have that extra week here after preseason as well for these guys to get healthy. Brian, let me ask you a question. I've always made the point that you need to have a franchise quarterback. You have to have that guy. You have to have your guy. And our guy was Ben Roethlisberger for almost 20 seasons. Now, you notice around the league that teams that don't have that guy generally don't win the Super Bowl. Who's winning the Super Bowl? Patrick Mahomes. Before him, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and even Joe Flacco. Now, let me ask you this. With that being said, would you trade out a couple of your big name guys to bring in a guy if he guaranteed to be that kind of quarterback, your guy, your franchise guy, the guy that you just love, you rely everything on as you do with Ben Roethlisberger? Would you give up 2 of your big names?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
T.J. Watt, how many big plays does he make a game on average?
I would give T.J. Watt up for a franchise quarterback.
He's going to maybe get an interception, maybe get a forced fumble, maybe get a couple key sacks. Okay, so let's just say he makes 3 to 4 big plays a game.
Right.
How many big plays does an average quarterback make a game?
They touch the ball every play.
Correct.
Yes.
So I would absolutely 110% give up one of the best defensive players in the NFL for, let's just say, even a top 10 quarterback.
Let me say this. Let me ask you, Justin Herbert from the Chargers. This kid's really good. He really is. And a lot of people don't realize how good he is.
Weren't we supposed to get him and we traded away our first round pick for Fitzpatrick?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
But I would give up T.J. Watt and somebody else for a Justin Herbert. As long as you have that peace of mind knowing that you have your guy under center and he's going to be there for a long period, I think that goes such a long way because, again, we're in that same position that we were before between Terry Bradshaw and between Ben Roethlisberger. Kent Graham and Mike Tomczak and Jim Millers and Cordell Stewarts. We're going to go through a lot of these guys before we find that guy.
It's funny that you bring up trading T.J. Watt here because we only have a couple minutes left, and I do want to get into the defensive backs, but real quick here, T.J. Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player runner-up, this amount, 22.5 sacks, 19 point some sacks, blah, 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 blah. T.J. Watt, since 2017, in 4 playoff games, the Steelers lost to Jacksonville and gave up 45 points. Lost to the Cleveland Browns, gave up 48 points. Lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, gave up 42 points. And cut down how many points they gave up. Lost to the Bills and gave up 31 points without T.J. Watt that time. So if you're giving up 45 points on average in playoff games with T.J. Watt, what's the point of having him?
Oh, I agree. You made a great point, Brian. He said even if he has, let's say, 18 sacks this season, that's 18 plays. It's made up for a negative play from your defense. I would much rather have that guy. As you see, I'm doing this with my fingers. That guy. If we had that guy, Brian, you're just so much better. As I said, when you had Ben, you just knew from week to week you always had a chance to be in the game. We are back to that dark period, I like to call it, of your Jim Millers and your Tom Zaxes. And don't get me wrong, I was a fan of Neil O'Donnell, but you could throw him in there as well.
He was great except for 2 plays in the Super Bowl,
absolutely.
right?
I couldn't agree with you more. But I believe that is what we have to do. I said that before this season. We went out and did the bargain thing that Omar Khan does. He goes out, brings in decent players with decent names for low amounts of money. We have to go out and get one more time with the fingers, Brian, our guy.
All right, so defensive backs, we brought in Dante Jackson, who was going to get cut, and somehow we traded away our best wide receiver for him, got him, but he's a solid defensive back.
Yes.
I don't know why he was getting cut. I still don't understand that. Joey Porter Jr., hoping he takes yet another step forward after a great rookie season. You have Deshaun Elliott down there at strong safety, Minka Fitzpatrick at free safety. We're hoping that Beanie Bishop or somebody else can fill in until Cam Sutton gets back. And then you have KZ, Killebrew, Corey Trice Jr. at the defensive back. We're pretty solid there. But like you said, if George Pickens goes down, we're in trouble.
Yes.
You know, if Joey Porter Jr. goes down, we're in trouble. I think those two positions are very thin, and last year we had 1 million inside linebackers, did we not? And then we were playing like 8th string guys by the end of the season.
Again, back to Omar Khan. Don't get me wrong, I like Khan. I like his aggressiveness, but again, he went out and got his Quan Alexander's, very injury prone. He went out and got I can't think of who the other people were, but Cole Holcomb. He's still injured. You know, so the guys that we go out and get on these deals, they're very good, but again, they've all been injury prone so far.
All right. Well, we were on rain delay because the Pirates ran into the show. We appreciate you guys listening to us. We will be back next week at 5 o'clock. So you guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We will see you back here in 166 hours and 45 minutes.
You've been listening to One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio. Don't forget, you can watch the show on WBVP-WMBA Facebook page anytime. Tune in next Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio. You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.